I could see her just as clearly as I see y'all right now. She's always doing the same thing, just running down a hillside. She's in a long white dress. She's got jet black hair, and she's beautiful. I see her running in fear, screaming for help, but no one ever comes. She falls to the ground, and then an ugly old woman appears before her. The old woman hovers over her for a long moment, and then, all of a sudden, her eyes become my eyes, and I'm staring at this old bat who's just peering into my soul. She puts her hand out towards me and says, "Love no more, Romley." I must have screamed this time because I felt a slap on my thigh that blotted me awake. My eyes went from side to side like I was scanning for that old woman, but she wasn't there. All I saw was the inside of a rusty old van and 3 dark, black-haired women. 2 were my sisters. They're older than me by a few years. 2 and 3, to be exact. "You all right, Jolene?" My oldest sister, Mary Lee, was kneeling in front of me, her green eyes staring into mine. "You had that dream again?" she asked, and I nodded. She sighed and ran her fingers through my hair. "Well, we're gonna put an end to all that now, aren't we, girls?" My mama shouted out from behind the wheel of the van. My sisters and I sounded off like good little soldiers. "Yes, Mama." Soldiers fighting in a war we didn't start. It was just passed down to us from ghostly faces over the years. Most 14-year-olds are worrying about boys in school. I'm worried about boys too, but for a whole other reason. I'm worried if I held a boy's hand, would he still be alive the next morning? If I kissed a boy, would he live to tell about it? I was worried that my love would be the end of some poor fool's life, and that's what we were all worried about, for all our whole lives, because we're Romleys, we're gypsies, and we've been cursed for as long as I could remember. Mama says my dreams are visions of the past, letting us know how it all started. Our great, well, too many greats if you ask me, grandmother came across an old gypsy. The old woman was trying to sell beauty water, some spell or something that kept you young and beautiful for years to come. But old Granny told that old hag that she was already beautiful. I guess that set the old woman off into some hateful, jealous rage or something. I don't know. Mama tells the story better. Point is, she put a hex on my bloodline, a hex that said, "Long as our bloodline walk this earth, we will never live a life of love. Because should we ever truly love a man, he will grow weak with sickness and die within a year." So, yeah, dinner and a movie just didn't fit in my world. Mama told us every day to be careful because she didn't want us to live with the pain that she's living with, the pain of losing Daddy. See, for years, Mama was living just like the rest of her family, lusting and leaving, never risking the life of some poor soul, until she came across a young, funny, handsome gypsy boy. My mama said she ain't never loved no man like she loved my daddy. I don't remember him, just seen him in pictures and heard stories about him. Sometimes I have dreams of him pushing me on a swing, but Mama said he died when I was a baby, so I'm guessing they're just dreams. I felt the van come to a stop, and my sisters and I just locked eyes with one another. All our lives, Mama told us that the Pittivo devils are the ones who took love from us. It started with the Pittivo old witch, and the spell continues on in their blood, even if they didn't know it. They were stealing our lives away from us, putting us in this kind of jail of loneliness, always knowing what love is and never being able to have it. You know what it feels like to grow up knowing that you could never love another soul, because if you did, they would up and die? I grew up in a town that didn't understand gypsies, much less understand a cursed gypsy family. They all would say, "Look at poor Jolene with her crazy mama." They'd tease me in school and say my mama killed my daddy. They didn't know how right they were. My mama and us girls had to live with this fear of losing any man we loved because of those Pittivo devils, and we finally decided no more. As Mama turned off the van, it started to become clear just what we had decided. Mama looked back at us. "Y'all ready?" she asked. My sisters shouted, "Hell yeah!" I nodded, and my mama shot out that seat so fast it was like I blinked and she was at the back of the van, and she put her hand on the back of my head, pulled me in close and sighed. "Joe, you're as pure as the morning sun, sweetie, so I understand if you don't want to do this, but know that if we don't do this, you'll forever be alone and your po daddy won't ever get the justice he deserves." I nodded at her and said, "I know, Mama." She smiled and put out a handgun from the black bag that sat next to me. She put it in my hands and kissed my fingers. "Then go ring that doorbell and your sisters and I will make our way through the back of the house." I was scared. It was the scariest I'd ever been, but I stepped out of the van and I started walking. I walked past that big black mailbox and the Petivo gold lettering, and I walked slowly up the nice stone path towards the door. As I looked at that nice little house, I wasn't scared no more. I was angry. They were living a charmed life while my family and I were living in some run-down trailer, all because their old hag of an ancestor got jealous of a pretty face. I was angry, and I pushed that gun between my lower back and belt, and then I pushed the doorbell. I heard the ring and the "I'm coming" from the other side. I turned to look for my mama, but the van was gone. The door opened, and for a moment I didn't see anyone. It wasn't until she spoke that I looked down. She was a short little girl with dark brown hair, and she was smiling up at me. Couldn't have been but maybe 10 or so, about 4 years younger than me. "Hi," the little girl said. I looked around and softly said, "Hey, I'm looking for the Petivo family." The little girl raised an eyebrow and then laughed. "Well, you found them. That's my mom and I. You looking for her?" All of a sudden, I heard her mother yell out, "What do you want? How did you get in here?" The little girl's head turned. "Mom?" she said. She went walking down the hall towards the kitchen, and I just stood there thinking about it all. I mean, for years, I blamed this family for taking away my daddy. I blamed this family for taking away my chance to love, a right that everyone else in the world had, but mine was stolen. I hated them for that. On any given day, I'd wish them dead, but it never dawned on me that they could be normal people. These weren't devils or ugly old women. They didn't have horns. They were just a woman and a little girl. I got pulled out of my thoughts when I saw the little girl back up slowly. Then I heard the bang. She jumped, and then she took off running down another hall towards a room. My sister came out of the kitchen with blood on her face and her hands. It was all over her. She pointed her gun at me. "What the hell are you doing?" she shouted. I jumped. "Go get her!" she screamed, and I did. I ran after that little girl, and I chased her into that room. It was dark, but I knew where she was. She was under the bed. I could hear her crying under there. I stood there and let her think it was safe. I even closed the door to let her think that I had left, and when she came out, I pulled back on the trigger. It was the loudest sound I had ever heard in my life. Just like that, she wasn't hiding under the bed anymore. She was on the wall, on the floor, on the side of my shoe. She was everywhere. I stood there in shock. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a mess. I stood there, just looking at her. I heard my name being called, so I turned to leave, but as I turned, I saw it. Sent a chill down my back. My hands were shaking as I went to hold it. It was a photo in a gold frame. It was of that little girl's mom, the one that was bleeding to death in the kitchen. She was holding a baby, but it wasn't her that chilled me. It was him. I knew him because he walked through my dreams every night. I knew him because his eyes were like my eyes. His smile was like my smile. It was my daddy standing next to her, as happy as could be, like some little family. I held the photo in my hand as my mama came running into the room. "Did you? Oh, damn, you did. Well, look at you, Joe. Went all Rambo on us," she said with a laugh. My sisters came up behind her. "So that's it? It's over?" they asked my mama, and she nodded. "The curse dies with them." I held that photo in my hands, and then all those schoolyard words just played over in my head. "Look at poor little Jolene with her crazy mama. You know she killed her daddy." Mama told me that story every day, but that's all it was, a story. That was Poor Jolene by Sylvester Barzey. This has been another Unraveling with the Bone Collector. Stay spooky, kids.